The film begins in Syria when some terrorists are running after two American operatives in the desert. After much fighting, the terrorists are able to take down the truck with a rocket. Soon, the terrorists start to track down the soldiers to finish them up, but one of them, named Parker, manages to wipe them all out using her simple little knife. She then meets up with his partner, Spider, and Team Captain Adam. Angry over the fact that the terrorists attacked them, Adam starts killing the prisoners of war. This makes Parker angry, and she manages to stop him before anything escalates. Once the conflict is over, Parker leaves with Spider, who tells her that Adam had requested Parker be transferred to another unit. Luckily, Spider used his hacking skills to delete that request so he could spend more time with her. Just then, Parker is called by Jesse Swamp, the sheriff of her town, and at the same time, her ex-lover. He tells her the terrible news that her dad was trapped and killed after a mine collapsed. Parker is devastated by the news and leaves for the United States soon. Later, she comes to the precinct and Jesse gives her a lift to her home. During her journey, Parker asks Jesse if he knows anyone who would be willing to buy her home. Jesse is taken aback by this, but Parker says that her home feels alien to her after her father's death. Later at night, Mikey breaks into Parker's home and is soon caught by her. It is when we realize that Mikey is in fact Parker's best friend who entered the mine and found her father's body. Parker knows that her old man used to spend a lot of time in his cave. She then asks Mikey to take her to the spot where he found her dad. Later, when they reach the place, she finds it strange to see the way the rocks were left after the supposed cave-in. Afterward, they leave the cave and Parker throws a grenade at some nearby rocks and sees that they end up in a similar shape to the mines. So she begins to suspect that this was a planned assassination. However, Mikey still thinks that her father just made a mistake while handling grenades due to his old age. Later, they go out to have some drinks. At the bar, Parker meets the owner named Mo and Jesse's brother named Elvis. After having a few drinks, Parker suspects some young men in a van that looks stolen. She and Mickey chase after them until she sees them break into a warehouse. The poor thieves don't last long as Parker attacks them. While fighting, she finds a stolen watch that belongs to Frank, her father's friend. After beating the thieves, she takes it to the old man, who thanks her for finding his stolen item. The next day, Parker finds Elvis and his other friends using high-caliber weapons to practice shooting in the mountains. Parker has no idea where Elvis got the weapons from, and just then her eyes fall on the military depot nearby. So she suspects Elvis of killing her dad. She immediately enlists the help of Spider, who in addition to being a convenient soldier is also a hacker, to help her get the camera recordings from the cave. Spider discovers recordings that show Elvis at the time of the death of her dad, but he advises Parker to tail Elvis and collect more evidence before making any claim. The next day, Parker visits Mikey's mother, Georgia, to ask them both if they know or have seen anything suspicious about Elvis. Unfortunately, all she has is that he tried to sell rifles to a friend of Mikey's, so they suspect Elvis is dealing with them. After a few days, Spider tells Parker about a deal between Elvis and a terrorist named Ghost that is going to take place at the Swan's residence. Parker makes her way to the place and finds evidence that Elvis is dealing the military-grade weapons and has active deals with the terrorists. She also overhears Elvis taking an order of 3 rocket grenades from Ghost. Parker later reconnects with Jesse and he introduces her to his father, who is running for senator and seems like a nice guy. In the evening, the two reminisce about the good times of the past, while agreeing that her father's demise was no accident. As they sleep together, Parker gets up in the middle of the night and rides a bike to the police station, where with Jess's card, she infiltrates his office to find her father's file. She manages to take pictures of crucial evidence and leaves before getting caught. Later, at a dinner at Swan's residence, the senator tries to gain Parker's empathy as he wants to use her in his political campaign to win over the Latino public. Parker is not convinced and she starts doubting the old man. Just at that moment, she gets a message from Spider that Elvis is in the mine, so she runs there to investigate. The first thing she does is to take the air out of the tire of Elvis' truck and then watch them take weapons out of her father's cave. When she runs into Elvis, he threatens her with his knife and she throws him to the ground. Just then, his henchmen set fire to her house. To save her father's old belongings, she runs to the house, but it gets destroyed nevertheless. Parker manages to survive the fire while Elvis starts to escape. Parker soon finds Elvis with a busted tire and starts to punch him while accusing him of killing her dad. Just then, she's arrested by his brother, who takes her to the police station. There, Elvis and Jesse have a heated conversation, and Elvis reveals that some criminals offered him millions if he would hand over military-grade weapons. That said, Jesse gets on the wrong side and tries to convince Parker to accept some of the money, but she won't betray her father's memory. Jesse also says that he'll buy her father's home like she wanted for $3 million, but Parker does not budge. Before they continue playing dirty tricks on her, Parker first decides to call her lawyer. The lawyer interrogates Jesse and asks him what exactly Elvis and his father's job is, but he denies knowing anything. Later that night, the lawyer goes to check out the cave with his own eyes, but is surprised by Jesse, who kills him. Now the evil family ties her up and starts beating her up, forcing her to tell them what she saw in the videos, but she doesn't reveal any information. When the senator points a gun at her, she has no choice but to call Spider. But before she says anything, she manages to get out of his handcuffs and kicks Elvis and the senator. Meanwhile, Jesse is unable to shoot his former lover, so he turns himself in. As a result, Parker escapes, heavily injured. She manages to drive for some time before crashing the car. On the other hand, Jesse finds Parker's phone and sees the last conversation with Spider. There, he impersonates her and writes that everything is fine and she doesn't need help anymore. Meanwhile, Elvis is out of his mind looking for Parker, and the first place he goes is Mikey's house, who denies having seen her. After breaking into his home and searching everywhere, they realize that the girl is not there and decide to leave. But in fact, Mikey has a hidden door where he has put her friend to cure her. Mikey asks Parker about why Elvis is out hunting her, and she tells him that Elvis is the one who killed her dad. After 3 days of healing, Parker wakes up and prepares for battle with the Swan family. She tries calling the military depot to tell them about the ongoing issue, but the operator on the other end does not agree to listen to her and drops the call. She then visits many of the town's neighbors who are very fond of her and collects weapons and ammunition that she can use to confront the thugs. Meanwhile, Ghost arrives at Senator Swan's mansion to ask what happened to the military weapons since they missed the deadline, and as they still don't have them, he asks for his money back. However, the senator has already used it in his campaign, so there's not a single penny left. On the other hand, Mikey tries to convince Parker not to enter Swan's house, since it is taken over by Ghost's group. But she ignores his advice and runs inside to dispatch the criminals and take revenge for her dad's death. After that, she finds Senator Swan sitting in his office. He repeats that he had nothing to do with the death of her father, but she's not merciful this time and kills him before extracting information from him. Afterward, she reaches the cave where Ghost's group is looking for the rocket grenades. Just then, Spider shows up and asks for Parker. The criminals pretend that they don't know her, and as Spider tries to leave, they ask him to surrender. Luckily, before that happens, Parker detonates some explosives that distract the bandits and allow Spider to fight them. However, being in the majority, the men take him inside the cave to interrogate him about the girl. Meanwhile, Parker gets attacked as well but manages to dispatch her enemy. She then makes her way to the cave where she hears Ghost reprimanding Elvis for his late delivery of the weapons. He then orders his men to go up the shaft and loot the military depot for their weapons. As he leaves, Parker infiltrates and kills bad guys to rescue Spider. They then leave and plan to burn down the cave. Just then, they are attacked by Ghost, but Spider launches a rocket at them. Parker gets bamboozled by the loud noise, and in the midst of the confusion, Ghost attacks her. Parker uses her military knowledge of hand-to-hand combat to beat Ghost to end his life using her knife. After a few seconds, she is assaulted by Elvis, who initially has the upper hand, but is soon overpowered by Parker. Just then, Mo, Georgia, and the others meet up with Parker, who goes to look for Spider. Together with the townspeople, she finds him in the middle of the rubble, lying almost half dead. After that, Parker climbs up inside a container that opens in the military depot to find Jesse. Parker pretends that she has been shot to distract the military that's protecting the place. Some personnel help her and tell her to stay put till they find a doctor, but as she knows that Jesse is hiding there, she gets up and starts looking for him. It only takes her seconds to find him. At first, she tries to kill him with her knife for betraying her love and trust, but Jesse tells her that he has always hated this town. He adds that he hated his father for his dirty politics and his brother's illegal activities. He then tells her that he's not playing games and sets off a grenade. Parker tries to make him see reason, but it is too late for him, who detonates the grenade, but not before pushing Parker to save her. As time goes on, we learn that all is well with Spider. The former teammates get to talking about their exploits, and there seems to be some chemistry there. In addition, Spider shows her that while going through her father's records, he found an old video he recorded which included different moments of Parker's childhood with his old man. Just then, Parker gets a call from Mikey, who asks her about his health and how she is doing after her revenge. After chatting for a bit, Parker leaves the gas station with Spider, just like at the start of the movie.